92 bricks, nigga.
This is 92 Bricks, the fastest growing hip-hop page on Instagram. Now we're here to take over YouTube, treating you to exclusive, inside information covered like never before. Kick back, hit the thumbs up button, and subscribe. You've all heard of Tupac, right? If so, you've definitely heard of Biggie. In which case, it's more than likely that you've heard of Tupac's legendary Biggie diss track, Hit 'Em Up. But what you don't know is the intricate story behind the track. Sit tight, get comfortable, roll yourself a fat-ass blunt, and lock in. Because you ain't gonna want to miss this. In the mid-90s, Tupac unleashed the most venomous diss track of all time, Hit 'Em Up. A track so raw and so personal that it's etched into hip-hop history forever. But what led to such a fiery outburst? This documentary dives deep into the background, exploring the events and relationships that culminated in this iconic record. This is the untold true story behind Tupac's Hit 'Em Up. How Biggie and Tupac first met. Tupac's rise to stardom began in 1991 with the release of his debut album 2Pac's Now and his standout role in the blockbuster movie Juice. Although born in New York, Puck was raised primarily in Oakland, California, where he cultivated his artistry and activism. By the early 90s, however, Puck was spending increasing amounts of time back in New York City. It was in New York that Tupac met Biggie Smalls, an up-and-coming MC from Bed-Stuy, Brooklyn. At the time, Biggie was building a name for himself with his underground hit, Party and Bullshit. Tupac, already a star, took Biggie under his wing, letting him open for his shows and offering him advice on navigating the industry. Here's Tupac and Biggie freestyling together.
But now I'm about to pass this motherfucker on because this Tangeray's getting hella strong.
Money, holes, and clothes. Blood smoke coming out the nose is all a nigga knows. Flipping off foes, putting tags on toes.
Their relationship seemed strong, built on mutual respect and shared ambition. But this friendship would soon face trials that neither could have anticipated. The tensions begin. On November 30th, 1994, everything changed. Tupac was lured to Quad Studios in Times Square under the pretense of recording a feature for music executive Jimmy Henchman. Instead, Puck was ambushed, shot 5 times, and robbed of his jewelry.
Rap artist Tupac Shakur was apparently attacked in a New York City recording studio.
Shakur, who was shot 5 times Wednesday during an apparent robbery attempt.
They ordered him to the floor. Tupac resisted. He was shot numerous times, at least twice in the head, once in the left arm, once in the thigh, once in the groin area.
Shakur is currently undergoing surgery for multiple gunshot wounds.
To make matters worse, Biggie and members of Bad Boy Records and Junior Mafia were reportedly in the same building on a different floor when the attack occurred. The next day, while recovering from his injuries, Tupac was convicted in a sexual assault case and was sentenced to 4.5 years in prison. Sent to Clinton Correctional Facility, a maximum security prison in upstate New York, Puck began to stew over the events that had transpired. While incarcerated, Tupac heard whispers that Biggie and his camp might have known more about the Quad Studios ambush than they let on.
While I'm in jail, strangers is telling me, yo, you don't know? Biggie homeboy shot you. Cause they bragging, they telling they niggas in jail, yo, we just got popped, woo, woo, woo. And my cousin was in jail in New York cause I got family out there. He sit right there while the niggas get in the car going, yo, my homeboys just jacked that nigga Tupac. So that's how I knew, shot me, what happened, and everything.
Adding insult to injury, Biggie released the track, Who Shot Ya?, shortly after the shooting. Though Biggie insisted the song was unrelated, the timing was too coincidental for Puck to ignore. The betrayal Puck felt was compounded by Biggie's rise to stardom, while Tupac was locked up, driven by the success of his debut album, Ready to Die, which quickly sold 2 million copies while Tupac was incarcerated.
We did it, Brooklyn, we did it!
Tupac, meanwhile, was confined to a cell, unable to fully enjoy the success of his own album, Me Against the World, which was released during his imprisonment. Behind bars, Tupac began meticulously plotting his response. In handwritten transcripts from 1995, Puck laid the groundwork for what would become Hit 'Em Up. This is the list of people and artists Tupac was planning on gunning for. Number 1 on the list, Biggie. On October 12, 1995, Suge Knight and Death Row Records secured Tupac's release by posting a $1.4 million bail in exchange for Tupac signing with the label. Biggie was signed to Bad Boy, flashy and ruling the East Coast. Tupac? He'd just signed with Death Row, the most feared label in the game. This wasn't just music. Suge Knight and P. Diddy already had beef. For Tupac, death row wasn't business, it was war. Upon his release, Tupac was whisked to California in a private jet, where he immediately began working on his death row debut, All Eyes on Me. Why does all this matter? What's the point of digging up all this dirt? Well, buckle up, because this is where it gets wild. The beef begins. Fresh out the pen, Tupac didn't waste a second. The day after his release, he linked up with none other than Faith Evans, Biggie's wife, out in LA. They hit the studio and laid down the track, Wonder Why They Call You Bitch.
And that's why they called you bitch, I betcha.
Wonder why they call you bitch. Wonder why they call you bitch. Betcha.
But that wasn't the only thing getting laid that night. Word on the street, the two got real cozy, and multiple sources confirmed they spent the evening together.
I ain't one to gossip, but I seen this one with my own eye. Faith Evans did screw Tupac. She got in the car with him that night when he left the club.
He called me and he's like, I did it. And I'm like, what? What you did? He's like, that bitch just left my hotel. I was like, what? He's like, yeah, I fucked Faith. And I was like, oh.
So Faith came to the studio, and you was at the studio when she came to the studio to see Tupac? You was there?
Hell yeah, I was there when she came to Can-Am. You know, seeing Faith, you know, that's Biggie's wife, so I'm like, damn, cuz. Wow. I'm going home.
Now, let's keep it real. In the 90s rap game, loyalty was scarce and temptation was everywhere. Rings didn't mean a thing when the champagne was flowing and the money was piling up. Biggie? He wasn't exactly innocent. The man lived up to his name, Notorious. He had women everywhere. Lil' Kim, Charlie Baltimore, the list goes on. Maybe that's why they called him Big. But let's not get distracted. Back to Puck. Faith knew what Biggie was up to, and maybe, just maybe, she wanted to send a message. Puck saw the opening and played the game like a kingpin.
Shout out to Faith. Hey girl, Faith and Bad Boy Records.
Tupac wasn't the type to let an opportunity like this slide. Whether it was revenge, mind games, or just pure drama, Tupac didn't just cross the line. He burned it down. Using Faith Evans wasn't just personal, it was a declaration of war. And in the process, he turned hip-hop's most infamous beef into a blood feud that would change the game forever. During their time in the studio, Puck explicitly told Faith Evans about his plans to release a diss track aimed at Biggie. He even revealed the specific sample he intended to use, Don't Look Any Further by Dennis Edwards. This information would later play a pivotal role in Biggie's actions. Following their studio session, Faith returned to New York and reportedly shared with Biggie the details of Tupac's plans, including the use of the Don't Look Any Further sample. Biggie, sensing the potential impact of Puck's diss track, moved quickly to counteract it. Tupac records Hit 'Em Up. Tupac recorded the first version of Hit 'Em Up on October 31st, 1995. Initially intended as a diss track to be included on his All Eyes on Me album.
Cause niggas talk plenty shit. So many trips I fucked your bitch cause I'm true to this. Witness the hit you talk bad about a nigga when I got blasted. Hope you made a little money while the fuck lasted.
This version never came out and Biggie never heard this. But Tupac was still dissing Biggie and mentioning fucking Biggie's bitch. Why didn't Tupac release this version? Because Tupac wanted to gauge the reception of his new album first, before potentially dissing hip-hop's biggest artist at the time, Biggie.
It's tight, right? It's tight.
Only 10 days before Tupac was set to release his All Eyes on Me album, armed with the information from Faith, Biggie preemptively released a track called Get Money Remix. The track used the same Don't Look Any Further sample Tupac had disclosed to Faith Evans. Biggie's move was a calculated attempt to undermine Tupac's diss track before it could be released. The track included lyrics which can be perceived as shots and warnings towards Tupac.
It's Brooklyn in the house, without a doubt. I'm the rapper with clout, everybody yap about. Check it out, guns I bust them. Problems with my wife, don't discuss them.
Did you hear that? Problems with my wife, don't discuss them. These lyrics would only fuel Tupac's response. Tupac re-records Hit 'Em Up. When All Eyes on Me dropped on February 13th, 1996, it was an instant success, debuting at #1, selling 600,000 copies in its first week and 5 million copies within the first 2 months. It was official. Tupac was now a bigger artist than Biggie. With this momentum, Tupac re-recorded Hit 'Em Up. This is when shit really got out of control.
I ain't got no motherfucker. So I fucked your bitch, you fat motherfucker.
Take money.
Ouch. It doesn't get much more disrespectful than fucking your rival's wife and then opening your diss track with it. But of course, Tupac didn't stop there.
First off, fuck your bitch in the clique you claim. West side, when we ride, come equipped with game. You claim to be a player, but I fucked your wife. We bust on bad boys, niggas fuck for life.
Pac said he actually Biggie's wife.
We sitting there looking at each other like, woo, wee. Boy, these boy mean business, boy.
When he played Hit 'Em Up the song, I didn't like the song.
Did you feel like it was
I didn't
too
like
much?
it.
I seen the motherfucking Harlem with a boombox walk right past me while Biggie's on stage playing that shit.
We was all looking like, damn.
Of course, Biggie was shocked that Tupac took it that far.
I mean, he was kind of shocked because at some point him and Pac were friends, and you know, he didn't really understand where all of the negativity was coming from.
That's what the game was back then. It was very competitive. People spoke their minds. They spoke how they felt. But, you know, of course, we was hurt that he ain't had to go that far, go that route, you know what I mean? But that's just what it was back then, you know what I mean?
I wasn't into no controversy. I liked them niggas' music. They was our friends. We was all friends at one point. This video footage of all of us hanging out. Pac, Biggie, Puff, Suge, all of us together prior to Death Row.
Here's an interesting side note that you may or may not have known already. Tupac also flipped the vocal sample Biggie used on the Get Money remix.
Get money.
Into a vicious Take Money hook.
Take money.
To add fuel to the fire, Tupac also stole Biggie's hook from Player's Anthem. Here's Biggie's version.
Grab your dick if you love hip hop. Rub your titties if you love Big Pop.
And here's Tupac's version.
Grab your blocks when you see Tupac. Call the cops when you see Tupac.
Not only was Tupac fucking Biggie's bitch, but he was also stealing his hooks too. Not many people know this, but Tupac actually dissed Jay-Z in the outro of Hit 'Em Up. But word is the energy was so crazy in the studio that the microphone shorted when he was recording the outro, making the audio distort when he was gunning for Hove.
Fuck you too, Jay-Z, Lil Kim, all of y'all motherfuckers.
Because of the distorted audio, these lyrics were cut from the outro on the retail version of the track. Tupac didn't just want to diss Biggie, he wanted to humiliate him and anybody who was down with him. While Biggie was the primary focus of Hit 'Em Up, Tupac also used the track to settle scores with others in the industry. Mobb Deep.
Mobb Deep, you wanna fuck with us?
Tupac dissed Mobb Deep because of their track Survival of the Fittest from their album The Infamous. The song featured the line, "Thug life, we still living it," which Puck interpreted as a direct shot.
Survival of the fittest, strong, so life still living it.
In an April 1995 interview with Vibe magazine, Puck had publicly distanced himself from thug life, a term and lifestyle he once embraced. Tupac saw Mobb Deep's line as an insult to him. Jay-Z.
Fuck you too, Jay-Z.
Although the outro vocals dissing Jay-Z were cut from the retail version of Hit 'Em Up, Tupac's anger was evident. Jay-Z's close association with Biggie, and a scene from the Dead President's music video featuring Biggie saying, "Who shot you?" while playing Monopoly with real cash, fueled Puck's fury. Puff Daddy and Bad Boy Records.
Plus, Puffy trying to see me weak, hearts I rip. Fuck Bad Boy as a staff, record label, and as a motherfucking crew. And if you want to be down with Bad Boy, then fuck you too.
As the head of Bad Boy, Puff Daddy was a central figure in Puck's disdain. Tupac's goal was to completely destroy the label, seeing it as the source and harbor of many of his grievances. Junior Mafia.
Junior Mafia, some mark-ass bitches.
Junior Mafia were Biggie's crew. Tupac specifically targeted both Lil Kim and Lil Cease.
Lil Kim, don't fuck around with real G's. Lil Caesar, go ask your homie how I leave you. Cut your young ass up, leave you in pieces.
Two of the most prominent members of Junior Mafia. They were both guilty by association. Tupac officially releases Hit 'Em Up. Now that Tupac had completed Hit 'Em Up, he wanted to release it to the largest possible audience. So he recorded an iconic music video for it. And on June 4th, 1996, released Hit 'Em Up as a B-side on his single, How Do You Want It? The How Do You Want It single also included the hits Two of America's Most Wanted and California Love, as well as Hit 'Em Up, making it a 4-track single release. When the 4-track single hit stores, it was much cheaper than the double-disc All Eyes on Me album, which Tupac had released earlier that year, which made the single sell in huge quantities. This resulted in the lead single, How Do You Want It, charting at #1 on the Billboard single chart. This shrewd move maximized exposure and ensured that millions of people heard the track. In only 2 months, the single had sold over 2 million copies in America alone. Hit 'Em Up has been viewed as the turning point in the feud between Tupac and Biggie, a track where venomous words were exchanged that could never be taken back.
Fuck you, die slow, motherfucker. My fofo make sure all y'all kids don't grow.
It became the centerpiece of what is widely regarded as the most vicious battle in hip-hop history. Every person targeted in the song responded in some capacity, some before Tupac's death, and others more distastefully after his passing. On September 7, 1996, just a few months after Hit 'Em Up dropped, Tupac was fatally shot in a drive-by shooting in Las Vegas. He succumbed to his injuries 6 days later, on September 13th. His death marked the end of a turbulent era in hip-hop and left an eternal mark on the genre. And there you have it, Hit 'Em Up, the diss track that didn't just shake hip-hop, it set it on fire. A track so ruthless, so raw, it wasn't just about bars, it was about revenge, betrayal, and, of course, fucking your rival's wife. The Faith Evans angle? That took this beef from the streets to something way deeper. It was a dagger straight to Big's pride. Whether it was true or not, that line turned this diss into something bigger than music. It made the beef emotional. It made it personal.
But no, I did not sleep with Tupac.
Who do you believe? What do you really think happened? Let us know in the comments. If you enjoyed this deep dive, smash that like button and don't forget to subscribe. Catch you on the next one. Peace.
Hey, I'm the hottest in the game right now. 92 bricks, nigga, and I need 8 more. 3 a.m. fiends knocking at my door like knock, knock, knock. Nigga, what's that sound? Hell yeah, it's about to go down like knock, knock, knock.